What's up, people? We are back with more of Danganronpa 2. Before we start what is supposedly the final class trial, the last class trial, I want to address one specific thing that happened towards the end of the previous video, which I've actually done quite a bit of thinking about. And usually, as I mentioned in another video, I think, is that all the thinking that I usually do about any of the theories or whatsoever, I always do it while I'm playing and recording. But this time I didn't, so I felt like I at least wanted to mention it so that it doesn't seem like I have this sudden shift in opinion about something or someone without you guys knowing my thought process behind it. So it was kind of a question from someone whether if it made more sense that Nagito was the person, based on my logic at the end, right? Saying that the person the traitor seemingly is working together with Monami. That's what Monokuma seemed to hint at. So yeah, that was sort of the question, that it's more likely than if that's the case, that for Nagito to be the traitor rather than Hajime. And I personally think that there are possible cases to be made for either one of them to be the traitor. But when I look back at it, and I looked at the specific ends portion of the previous video myself as well to just try to look exactly what I said back then, and I do feel that I perhaps focused a bit too much on trying to see if Hajime fits as the possible traitor. But to me it really feels like just the entire scenario and everything around it is sort of set up in this way that me as the player, at least at some point, is supposed to question Hajime just a little bit. Just a little bit, because that's sort of the thing that all the other people here have done as well. You know, Kazuichi has been really adamant about, like, sort of staying away from Hajime because he seems to be the possible traitor, and that seems to be due to certain things about Hajime just aligning up quite well with the limited information that we have about the traitor, you know. And also I feel like it's just a possible scare factor around Hajime. Oh, he doesn't know his ultimate, therefore it's more likely that he's the traitor, you know, sort of a logic along those lines. That's at least the logic of other people here on this island when they were thinking about the traitor, or at the very least Kazuichi, right? But the moment I did think about Nagito being the possible traitor a bit more, it actually seemed to click for me pretty well. Now, once again, you know, without confirmation, I'm always a little bit hesitant and doubtful to say something is for certain, but in my mind, this seems to click pretty well, that Nagito is possibly a traitor. Now, it does mean that certain things do have to be true, which we are uncertain of as well. Like, one of the things that we have to be clear of is that the Future Foundation has to be then Makoto and stuff. Makoto and everybody else who survived in Danganronpa 1. And Monami has to be working for the Future Foundation, together with the Makoto and stuff. And Nagito has to work together with Monami as well. Those are the three things that sort of have to be true for my theory about Nagito being the traitor making sense. So the things that I thought about is that if those three align and are true, then it just makes a lot of sense for me that Nagito is the traitor, because if the Future Foundation is Makoto and stuff, right, and their plan was to set up this whole reverse killing school life thing on this island to try and strengthen the hope of the students that have been recruited to come here, then it just makes all of the actions that Nagito has done throughout this entire game, throughout the entire story, throughout all 5 chapters, it just makes a lot of sense for me then, because his end goal was always like strengthening hope, being a step stool for bigger hope to flourish, you know? And if that's sort of his goal then as the traitor, quote-unquote traitor, right, working for Monami, because Monami's goal and the reverse killing school life's goal was to strengthen hope, and it was sort of portrayed in the sense of, in a more materialistic thing, like, oh, you gotta gather hope fragments by getting to know each other and becoming friends with each other and that sort of stuff, right? That's what they said at the beginning. But it seems that Monokuma then just intercepted their whole plan, which then makes me feel like Nagito went into this, for lack of a better term or word, full hope desperation mode, to make hope defeat despair no matter what, no matter the freaking cost, which is why he's so willing to sacrifice people, as long as it's for the betterment of hope, for the greater good, for the bigger picture, for just hope to defeat despair at the end, it doesn't matter the cost to him. So that, in my mind, at least somewhat justifies everything that Nagito has done, right? Like, sure, it is, once again, like, not really an approach I personally would take, but just because of the dire situation of, oh fuck, despair is here, well, hope has to defeat despair no matter what. So I feel like Nagito just went into this full desperation hope mode, where he just, fuck it, we gotta win no matter what. You know, it's kind of almost like a war. Like, even in war, they don't mind sacrificing soldiers as long as you at the end win the war, right? And I feel like everything always comes down to this battle between hope versus despair. It was that way in Danganronpa 1, and Danganronpa 2 is obviously a continuation of that, right? So I feel like that is always the core and the bigger picture that you have to think about. Hope versus despair. And Nagito was working for hope, or at least on the side of hope, trying to defeat despair no matter what. So for me, all of his actions now make a lot of sense if that is the case, right? That is the thing, if that is the case. One thing I do wonder about, however, was kind of the thing that I questioned in the previous video as well, is just about what Monokuma said about adding that fake profile into Hope's Peak Academy student book. Because this is what I was sort of thinking about as well, like why is Hajime, or why Hajime could possibly be the traitor. It's because Hajime's profile, not outfit, I play way too much Sakura Dungeon, but his profile stands out so much due to him being a reserve corps student, right? That is a new thing that has sort of been introduced in the previous chapter. Like, we haven't heard about that at all in Danganronpa 1, and neither in the first 3 chapters. So it's this new thing which has been mentioned, but not really, we haven't seen it other than that, right? So it's been this new thing that has been introduced, but it could also be made up. So the thing is, Monokuma added a fake profile, so it is likely that he just made up that whole reserve corps student as well. But the fact that he is a reserve corps student seems to make sense, with the fact that Hajime doesn't remember his ultimate, but there could be other reasons for that, because similarly, like what happened with Kyoko in Danganronpa 1, she didn't know her ultimate either, but there was a different reason behind that, and that could also be the case with Hajime here as well, but we don't know that exactly, so sure, it seems to fit, but we're uncertain of that. But the biggest thing for me is just, if I were Monokuma, and if I were trying to hide the traitor, you wouldn't want him to stand out, right? For example, you know, if I had to make one of them a traitor, let's say all 15 students are normal and the 16th student is up to me, I use the traitor, let's say it's Hyoko, right? If the decision were up to me, I want her to fit in as much as possible with the rest of the group. They're all ultimates, so we're gonna give her an ultimate too. So let's say, for example, this is just a total example, right? I don't mean it personally against Hyoko whatsoever, but let's just call her, oh, she's the ultimate brat or whatever, you know? Like, that was something that would at least doesn't really make her stand out that much. Oh, to be fair, brat is kind of a weird thing to be an ultimate for and to be recruited into Hope's Peak Academy, but you get my point, right? It's just the fact that you want to give her an ultimate that doesn't stand out. Then making up this entire thing about the reserve course and reserve department seems to stand out as well. So that's the thing that you don't want to when you're trying to make a fake profile for the traitor and try to hide that person. So that's why Hajime being the traitor for me, or at least him being the possible traitor slash having a fake profile, it seems to be 50-50, because it all depends on whether this reserve course thing and reserve department is actually true or not. So the thing that I just start to question is about Nagito. Okay, what if he is the traitor? Because the strange thing about him is, right, is that his ultimate is the ultimate lucky student, which is weird because it's just a bit sloppy in my opinion. If Monokuma gave him that ultimate, like say you're the ultimate lucky student, and he wrote that into his fake profile, like why would he reuse that ultimate? Like, okay, all the other people don't really know that, but we as the player do know that it is something that he reused from Danganronpa 1, which was the ultimate lucky student back then was Makoto, right? So perhaps that is a hint towards us as well, like, hey dumbass, you're supposed to think this. Or you know, or it's a fake hint, like, haha, dumbass, you thought that because we did that. I don't fucking know, you know, but they could do it either way. But it just seems a little bit curious for me, like, why would the ultimate lucky student, that specific talent or ultimate, be reused in that sense? But yeah, it's really hard to confirm any of that because we didn't see any of the student profiles at all. Like, they flipped through the book, but we didn't see the page of them with every single information about it on it, right? The only one that we saw was from Hajime himself, which we didn't really see the text, but he mentioned out loud, like, oh yeah, it says that I'm from the reserve course. So that is sort of confirmed, I guess. And the other profile student or student profile that we saw was from quote-unquote Byakuya, the ultimate imposter. So those are the only two student profiles that we saw. So yeah, without actually seeing those real student profiles with the actual words on it, it's really hard to sort of to confirm this exactly. I mean, it could also just be that Monokuma put a different ultimate on Nagito's fake student profile, that he just put ultimate creepy guy or whatever. I'm just putting the first word that comes to mind, right? And but that's a bit sloppy too, considering that Nagito told everyone that he himself is the ultimate lucky student. So yeah, once again, this is just too hard to kind of confirm without seeing the actual student profiles ourselves. But I do think it just makes a lot of sense to me now that Nagito could actually be the traitor. But the fact that Nagito is actually, as he called, the ultimate lucky student, like, he could actually have just been given that as a mission from Makoto, right? Which then goes hand in hand as well with him working together with Monomi and the Future Foundation. Like, Makoto, let's say, if Makoto and stuff are the Future Foundation, and Makoto is, like, let's say, the president of Future Foundation, he gave an assignment to Nagito, like, alright, you're gonna make sure, you're gonna be quote-unquote the traitor working for Monomi and make sure that everything goes well and that we all gather the hope fragments and stuff and then it goes well like we want it to go. And therefore he gives him the same ultimate that Makoto himself had as well. Like, that could be it. That could be the reason why Nagito is the ultimate lucky student. But this is all just kind of conjecture, you know? It's all based on... Sure, it makes a lot of sense to me. It really clicks for me in my head. It's just like, yeah, I really think that actually Nagito is now the traitor if all those things are true. If all those three things are true. But once again, I wouldn't put it past the creators of this game or writers of this game to make us think along the specific path and then turn everything upside down completely. So, I mean, they've mind-fucked me multiple times throughout this, throughout both games already. So I definitely wouldn't put it past them that it just is going to happen again towards the end. But this is just my current sort of thought after thinking about things more deeply and sort of reflecting on it a little bit after playing after doing the investigation of the previous video as well. So yeah, those are sort of the new thoughts that I'm going into this class trial with, because I personally feel it's rather important for me to at least clarify that, because otherwise you guys would be thinking like, wait, why does he suddenly now think Nagito's the traitor? If I don't really explain this whole thought process that I had behind it, then it would probably seem a bit strange. So yeah, with that out of the way, let us just go towards the class trial right now. Monokuma Rock. It's kind of sad.
Right.
I wanted to say everyone's here, and then I only see 5 people in front of me, and I thought like, wow, this is really depressing right now. Fuck. Looks like everyone is here.
Huh?
Is this it? Shouldn't there be more people?
Damn it.
Stop it. You're making me depressed.
Stupid fool!
You're making me depressed.
So, it is going to happen again. The cruel conflict where we must doubt our friends.
But once we're through with this, we can go back, right?
That's right.
That Monokuma bastard said so, didn't he? He said this is the last class trial.
Damn it.
But we've been tricked every step of the way. There's no way I can believe that so easily.
Of course not.
Why can't you believe it? The guy who's making us do all this is the one saying it, you know?
You know,
It's not
right?
like he never lied before, right? That's why I'll definitely survive. If we can really go home after the deal with the class trial,
That's
I'll
right.
definitely find out who the killer is. No matter what. Even after pull out all the stops. Wow. He sounds so motivated.
You.
What the fuck? Why are you here?
You haven't realized it yet? That feeling of wanting to leave this island. Thinking like that is Monokuma's trap, you know?
Huh?
What are you even saying?
Got it?
There's no way Monokuma will end things here. He's planning something far worse.
Yeah, he's, I mean, I'm not sure if he's, like, gonna kill all of us, but I feel like the thing that he has done throughout Danganronpa 1 and 2 is, like, give us false hope, you know? To then let us down again, basically increasing the despair that he's inflicting upon all of us. So I feel like this is another one of those things, but one thing is for certain, right? I feel like, oh, two things, actually, like, the Monokuma, you remember that timer in the thingy? That's actually something he placed there, right? That's something he himself did. If we go by the theory that this island and this whole plan was first to Manami and the Future Foundation's plan, and Monokuma took over. And then after that, he put that bomb with a timer on it. But, like, what is the thing with that timer exactly? We don't know. But one thing I feel like is almost for certain is that I believe it was mentioned during a conversation with Nagito and Monokuma, and he said that Monokuma is waiting for someone to come here, to arrive. So is that the countdown for that person, for whoever it is? Is that the countdown for that person to arrive, like in, was it 2 days or something? And that is when that person is gonna come here, or a group, or I don't know. But yeah, I don't think we're not just like, hey, this is done, alright, you can go now.
Stop trying to jinx us!
I'll beat you up!
Damn right! Stupid rabbits should just shut up! Everyone, you mustn't run away from despair.
Huh?
I have finally realized, after losing my powers, I've realized that cursing your powerlessness or your fate accomplishes nothing. The possibility may be small, but as long as there's a possibility, you must face it. In order to become someone who can be proud of yourself. So I will fight.
Okay, that speech that you just gave is so almost Nagito-esque in her meaning, right? Not necessarily word for word, but in her meaning behind it is so typical Nagito-esque that I feel like those two are definitely working together now. Like that kind of, at least, okay, it didn't necessarily confirm it to me, but it made me more sure that that is the case. Like, if I was 55% sure of that, I'm now 60% sure of it. What's her deal?
I do not really know, but she seems different from before. Maybe she read a self-help book.
Wait.
But her eyes, she looks so determined.
You...
What can you tell just by looking at those button eyes? Anyway, make sure you turn off Minimaru. It'd be annoying if he started talking during the trial. Aww. Fine.
But still...
Somehow, I understand what Manami is saying, I think.
Anyway, let's get going. To the last class trial.
Yep.
You're right. We need to fight as much as we can, no matter what hopeless truth awaits us in the end.
Up we go.
This is the end. I kept saying those words to myself, over and over within my mind. I entered Monokuma Rock.
Yeah.
This elevator ride, this will be the last time for this too, right?
Well, we're gonna have to go up too, but yeah, the last time going down, I guess. Supposedly last time.
I hope so.
Well?
Let's worry about things after we're finished.
You are right.
More importantly, we must focus on the class trial before us.
Damn it.
The killer managed to kill someone like Nagito. There's no way this is going to go smoothly. I mean, I still can't believe one of us was able to do that. Nagito was problematic in many ways, but he was also a valuable asset during the trials.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, definitely he was. In fact, during the funhouse ordeal, we were completely dependent on him. But even if he's gone, the ones who've survived need to stand and fight. We must fight. And then, the door slowly opened. This bright light greeting us. Is that the light of hope? Or the light of despair?
Well now.
Now that chatterbox Nagito is gone, there are only 6 of you left.
Shut the hell up!
Enough! Let's just start this already!
Hey!
Oh, I forgot to say fucking there. Fucking start.
This is it, right? This is really the last class trial, right?
Yep.
It sure is. So, you gotta show some enthusiasm and make sure you give it your all.
All right!
Didn't I tell you? He said it. This is the end.
Look at them eyes.
Now then.
Let's get this trial started.
Viva killing!
This is the last class trial. Let's show some enthusiasm and kill each other.
What? This is the 5th class trial. According to Monokuma, this is also the last class trial. That curtain is about to rise. Nagito Kamada, the ultimate lucky student. When I first met him, I thought he was a nice guy. He came across as very sociable. But his true nature held such a demented thought process that was nothing like his outward appearance. He said he believed in hope more than anything else. He said he was yearning for a powerful hope that can overcome any despair. He said he would even help despair just to prove that hope will never lose to despair. And he said he'd become a stepping stone for hope. His way of thinking was completely screwed up, but there were also times he saved us too. Someone like him was killed. That was the end of him. And I have no idea at all who did it, but so much red is appearing on these pictures. There's no way we can end this without knowing. We will be consumed by despair. Only Chiaki on that one. That's why we absolutely have to find out the person who finished off Nagito, the killer who murdered Nagito. In order to return from this despair alive, we need to reach the truth. And if Monokuma says this is really the last class trial, that's all the more reason we need to do this. And so, this life-threatening trial billowing with hope and despair, the last one, has begun. Right, so before I go over the truth bullets, I just want to say one thing. Hopefully this doesn't last 30 minutes like last time, otherwise feel free to skip it again, but yeah. Like, my specific thought process is that I feel like one thing we have to, I sort of have to make clear, if it's not clear already, is just the fact that, you know, traitor doesn't whenever you think of the word traitor, you think it's a bad thing, right? But you have to sort of see from which perspective it is as well, because the traitor is that you're betraying someone. But let's say you're an undercover cop and you're going undercover during a drug bust or whatever, you know, in an underground gang or something, you know, and you're the cop pretending to be a drug dealer and whatnot, you know, going on runs with them and blah blah blah, trying to uncover the big drug load, you know how it goes in movies and shit, you know. Let's say that is happening, but that person, the undercover cop, is then technically betraying those drug dealers and drug lords and whatnot, right? But he is fighting for good in that sense, right? His purpose has a good intention behind it, but he is still in the eyes of those drug dealers, he is the traitor because he betrayed them by not only not really saying who he really is, or at least having different intentions than all of them. So I feel like in this specific Danganronpa, the traitor here is actually someone that is good, that we in our eyes seemed good. Like Nagito, I always thought like, you know, I was 50-50, well 51-49 about him. Like 51% I knew that his intentions were always good, but the way that he went about things, which is the 49%, it was always to me a little bit questionable sometimes, you know? So yeah, but I knew that he had right intentions, or at least that's what I wanted to believe about him. So I was always 51-49 about him, but I think the traitor is someone that has, like, you know, wants hope to flourish at the end of the day. And 3 people come to mind, sort of, well 2 actually, with the traitor. Like, it's either Nagito, the traitor, in that sense, you know, the good traitor, as we'll just refer to, the good traitor. Or I almost don't want to say it, but because it's a good traitor, it doesn't really matter that much to me. It could also be Chiaki, because Chiaki is, I don't know, I just feel like every single class trial, she has been a person that always stepped up, always went on investigations, always took the, not necessarily the lead, but, you know, I feel like I could always count on her throughout everything. Which is why I think she could possibly be the traitor as well. There's like only in my mind like a 5% chance of that or something, but still, I just feel like if the good traitor has to be someone that has done a lot of good for us. And the 2 that really come to mind, that the 2 people that have done a lot of good for us throughout every single chapter, is either Chiaki or Nagito. So yeah, I felt like that just needed to be said, because I think the traitor is just, it's not necessarily, in this particular case, in this particular Danganronpa, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad traitor, it's a good traitor. So yeah, let's quickly go over everything. The victim is Nagito Kamado. The body was discovered inside the warehouse near the Monokuma Plushie factories. Established time is believed noon sharp. Not only is there a spear stabbed in the stomach, there are multiple stab wounds on each of his thighs. Furthermore, there's a laceration on his left arm and a knife impaled in his right hand. So that's kind of the strange thing, you know? Like, there are cuts on him, there are his right hand was stabbed through the floor, and in his left hand he was seemingly holding a spear in his hand that was attached to the ceiling rafters or something, to which, like, the moment he let go, that spear seemingly then impales him in the stomach. That's what I think has happened. Torture wounds, this is kind of the strange thing, that he has torture wounds, cuts on his legs. Both of Nagito's legs were tied with rope, and each rope was tied to a nearby pillar, which prevented him from moving. His thighs were also covered with a lot of stab wounds. So stab wounds, yeah, it either just seems like someone with a fucking vengeance, like, someone who really wanted to make him suffer. That's just the first thing that comes to mind, right? Otherwise, there's no reason to make those cuts or to inflict damage upon a person that is not going to kill him. Like, I just think the whole point is to kill someone, not to torture someone. So if you're going to do this to someone, you have other reasons behind it. Either you hate him, or, you know, you have a lot of frustration, anger inside of you that you want to let out on him. So yeah, those cuts are definitely made by an angry person. Or the one thing that I sort of thought about this, right, is that with everything, because I feel like almost everything is set up in such a way, because I mentioned it during the discovery or the investigation, is that it seems like Nagito died there without the quote-unquote killer actually being present, and then it was all tied up with us, like, you know, opening the door, busting the door open, and then it had this whole sequence of events happen with the Monokuma panel, dominoes falling over, and then I feel like a lot more behind the scenes happened in like this whole circular thing that then ended up with Nagito dying. So first the panels fell down, I don't know what kind of happened then, and then a fire started, and this happened, that, blah, blah, and at the end of that particular like chain of reaction was this despair that he let go, and then bam, it just killed him. But one thing that I certainly wouldn't put behind Nagito is that what if he actually did all of this just to himself? Like, this is just the ultimate test for him, for all of us, right? He feels like, oh, I helped all of you through 4 chapters now, right? It's kind of like, you know, a mama bird teaching their kids to fly, and then at the end of that, they just kind of throw him out of the nest and say like, alright, you're on your own now, let's see you figure it out. So I feel like maybe Nagito has done something similar here to try like create this whole big murder mystery in a sense, where in reality he just kind of did this to himself, but he made alterations along the way to make it seem like, hey, someone else could have done it, like here the cuts on my leg, like he could have inflicted it upon himself, because if you look at the wounds, right? The thing is, I mean, it is kind of weird because he's tied with rope, so that kind of puts a linchpin into that plan, because it kind of seems weird. How can you tie all of that together without you? I feel like someone has to do that to him, but nevertheless, maybe Monami helped him with that even, I don't fucking know. But the thing that I just really want to say is that the thing that he could have done is just lay down there with his right hand, just slash himself, because his right, that's the thing, right? There are cut wounds, like why aren't there cut wounds on his right arm, but there are cut wounds on both his legs and his left arm. And in his right hand is where the survival knife is like stabbed through. Because the thing that he could have done is just lay in this position, stab in the legs and left arm. And then with his left hand, he slashes through, or cuts through his right hand. And then with the left hand, he's holding that spear, right? So I feel like he could have done it in such a way that he did all of this to himself while being in this position. I mean, to be fair, he could have then handed his... No, I don't know. I feel like it's possible, but certain things don't really click. Because he could have cut himself in the right arm too, and then changed the knife over to his left hand and then stabbed it through. I don't know. Maybe that's just an entirely different, wrong thought process. I don't know. I feel like maybe the possibility is or was there. A survival knife that was stabbed right through, blah, blah, blah. It's from the military base, yeah. It's safe to assume that the wounds were, yeah, so the wounds on his arms and legs are from the survival knife. Blood on left hand, so we saw blood all around his hand, but not in the inner hand of his palm. So we basically just, we knew from that he had his fist clenched. And this was the thing, this was a strange thing, right? This really makes it look like it's sort of a torture in that sense, because a person, when you're torturing someone in like a secret location or a location where people could possibly find you, you don't want that person to scream loud so you get caught, right? So duct tape is definitely a good reason for that. You put duct tape over the mouth so they don't scream or talk very loudly, so you want to suppress the noise that they're making. So this once again points towards someone torturing him, but if it isn't someone torturing him, he inflicting him upon itself, then he could have done this just to, you know, go along with the act, because I feel like that's something we always have to take into account. Even with his own murder, I think it's entirely possible that even if it's not entirely he did this to himself, there are parts that he probably tried to alter to make this class trial more difficult for us, so that at the end of the day, you know, when we do figure it out, we gain more hope from it. We gain more, if we go by the Pokemon analogy, we gain more experience and levels from it, rather than just a meager 50 points. We got 75 points, fuck yeah. So, yeah, the tape itself had a lot of crinkles as if Nagito was desperately moving his mouth and knee. So that also seems to actually point that he was like screaming underneath, like, oh, you know, with duct tape underneath your mouth. Yeah, or duct tape over your mouth, not underneath it. But yeah, that's really seems to point out. I'm trying to go through this faster because I don't want it to last half an hour. Spear of Gungnir, that was from the, from Nezumi Castle, impaled through his stomach, a cord and iron weight. So that's the one, I feel like the cord he held in his hand, which is why he had his fist clenched to begin with, and for some reason he let it go and then chuck right in his stomach, dead. Monokuma Plushie, this is a weird one. Life-size Monokuma Plushie was found on the floor near the fire's origin point. It has a huge bloody hole in his stomach as if it was stabbed. That seems like similar to what happened to Nagito, right? A hole in his stomach with blood around it. That seems like a similar final wound that killed Nagito as it is on this plushie. Like, those things seem similar, but I don't know the exact reason behind it. That's a bit strange for me. So blood on girder, that makes me really feel like, you know, that's where the rope, or at least the, I'll just call it rope, that was attached to the spear was on that girder. You know, he held it in his hand, He had that, and then the rest of the rope goes over the girder, hanging over his stomach, and then boom, whenever he lets go, it just, the rest of the rope, it just slides among the girder, which is why it leaves this straight red line across it, right? Monokuma panels, that definitely the one thing I can know for sure is that the moment we open, it just set off this domino effect, which then set this whole chain of reaction into motion. Regardless of whether Nagito did this to himself or the killer planned this, or you know, one of us planned this, I feel like that's the whole thing. Like, the person that actually killed him wasn't there present. They just set up this whole chain of events that all starts with us opening the door, and then the Monokuma panels going this domino effect over, and that's how everything starts. I think that's one thing that we can be certain of. Found the fire's origin point, looks like this was caused by fire, so oil lighter, yeah, that's pretty clear, what caused the fire. An MP3 player that comes with the, yeah, we heard music. I checked it back when during the investigation, when I found this. I wasn't quite sure because I stopped in the middle and then didn't quite remember what happened last time, but yeah, there was definitely music sounding, but my thing that I'm trying to wonder is like, why is there music? The thing could be that it's to cover up the sound that happens, right? Because why else would you have an MP3 player here? Like, the thing, it has to be part of the chain of events, I feel. Everything, because it happened like this, I think. We opened a door, it was dark inside, so we didn't see. Panels fell, I'm not sure which happened first. Music started or fire started, maybe they happened simultaneously. But I feel like that's, the music is just to cover up the sound of Nagito screaming underneath that duct tape. I think that's the reason for the MP3 player. Sony's account was that secretly used one of the bombs on the military base at the ancient ruins and found out that the bombs were fake. At the time, Monami apparently peeking at the whole thing. Oh yeah, she tried to find out. Yeah, okay. Bombs turned out to be fireworks. Monokuma's account knew all along that the bombs were fake. However, he apparently never revealed that fact to anyone. Okay, so that's the important thing, right? None of us can actually know that the bombs are fake unless we tried it. Sonya tried it, found out, oh shit, the bombs are fake. So Nagito, in that video, he seemingly said in that video, remember, that he knew that the bombs were fake. He was like, surprised, are you? Yeah, blah blah blah. So he must have tried those bombs out at some point, I feel. Because how else would you discover that they are fake? Or he got the information from somewhere else, but then not from Monokuma. Monami's notebook. This is really strange. The diary that Monami updated every day, or did she? According to Monokuma, Monami can't write. So the other person is then the trader that works together with Usami or Monami, which then could either be, maybe, as I mentioned before, maybe Nagito or Chiaki, or I feel like there's still perhaps a possibility that it could be Hajime himself as well. I'm not sure how the fuck they're gonna pull that off, but I feel like the chances are there, however slim and slightly. But yeah, it's either one, but Hajime himself didn't. I don't know, okay. That actually kind of disproves that whole fact for me, that Hajime didn't really draw, or maybe they just don't show that stuff, I don't know. Gas mask and gloves, these were hidden under his bed. That's probably for the poison, right? Because the poison, was it the poison? I think it was the poison, right? The moment it reaches a gaseous state, then it can kill without any, what does it say? Found in his refrigerator, yeah. This enchanted liquid is highly potent and takes effect immediately. Handle with care. Due to its volatility is low, this liquid is very dangerous when vaporized. In a gaseous state, it is heavier than air, it breaks down in a minute, and is susceptible to hydrolysis. It is possible for you to poison someone to death without any complications. Oh, okay, so that's the thing. The thing is, I don't really know how all of this is going to come into... Or... Wait. The thing that could have happened is that Nagito actually... If we go by the thing that Nagito killed himself, right? Is that Nagito could have poisoned himself with this before the spear goes down. I don't know why I'm suddenly so confused, because a lot of things seem to make sense for me that way. If you think about that certain things could be set up in a way that Nagito is like trying to make us think on a, trying to make the class trial more difficult for us, and then we're trying to have to try to figure out what really happened. how he really died. You know, some things are just traps to put us in the wrong direction, but you usually, if you try to follow those clues, you'll usually end up in a dead end fairly quickly. I feel like this, what happens here, right? Dude's high volatility, but when vaporized in a gaseous state is heavy in air and breaks down in minutes, it is susceptible to high release. So I feel like, what reason would there be to cause a fire to vaporize this liquid, or this poison rather? So I feel like maybe he first died from this poison, and then later the spirit follows him in. Because the thing is, he died with his eyes open as well, and he was screaming, so maybe he was acting that way, I don't fucking know. But I feel like this actually, it could make sense in that way, because why else would there be a fire? There has to be a reason behind the fire. Because I feel like everything has been planned out so thoroughly. Alright, what did we miss? That was the poison, right? The notebook, piece of blue paper. This is strange. I don't know what this is from at all. Found in Nagito's cottage under his bed is a round, thin piece of aluminium paper. Yeah, I don't know what it is. That seems like a cover for something, but I don't know what for. And this was the weirdest fucking thing. The file contains the Hope Speak Academy students for all 16 profiles. Yeah, all 16 students rather. Due to the fact that Monokuma forged the trader's profile, looking at this won't help identify who the trader is. Or maybe it will. But it will come into play during everything I usually does. So, yeah. I don't know. Going through that again, I feel like it actually makes a lot of sense that Nagito did kill himself. Or, you know, sacrificed himself. To set up this last big murder mystery for all of us to figure out. To see, like, guys, did you learn about anything that I teach you throughout all four chapters? This is your final test, you know? Because he intended for himself to be a stepping stone, and I feel like that never really changed. Even though his opinion dramatically and drastically changed about Hajime, about the rest kind of as well, but he seemed to, like, you know, he didn't seem... The thing that I wondered, like, oh, maybe all the others aren't ultimates, but the student profiles seem to say that that isn't the case. So I'm still wondering, like, why exactly was Nagito acting a bit more rude towards all of the other ultimates as well, considering how much he looks up to them in a sense, right? Or that's the feeling that I sort of got, but I don't know. I don't know. For some reason, I have that gut feeling, but let's start. Let's just fucking start. I'm done. Let's go!
Now then, let's begin with a simple explanation of the class trial. During the class trial, you will present your arguments for who the killer is and vote for who done it. If you vote correctly, then only the blackened will receive punishment. But if you pick the wrong person, I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and that person will earn the right to leave this island.
Dang, Monomi's serious mode. Like, look, on the left you see, like, normal Monomi. On the right you see serious Monomi.
Oh my! Monomi? My cute little sister? You're awfully quiet. What's happened to you?
Dang, she's not even speaking.
You've ascended the ladder of adulthood and reached the moon? Because you're a rabbit?
Nope, not saying a word.
Chesto!
Oh god, is that really necessary? She don't care, holy shit. She's just staring into our soul like, come on guys, you can figure this out. Come on, I believe in all of you. Don't give in to despair. Let hope be victorious.
One more time!
Oh, it doesn't matter how many times you beat her up, she ain't giving up.
Jeez! How about this one?
Dang. Aww, poor Monomi.
This will be my final blow!
Nope. Dang, Monomi. Even after receiving an ass kicking like that, she's still standing with that look in her eyes.
It's useless.
Yep. No beating her. Well, you know, no defeating her, because technically you did beat her just now.
Please stop! I feel bad for Monomi.
You're right. Now's not the time for me to horse around with Monomi. The class trial has started, after all. The victim this time is Nagito, who is attempting to reveal the traitor for everyone's sake. Who in the world killed him? I'm so curious.
If he was killed for trying to reveal the traitor, that traitor is obviously the killer. They were trying to shut Nagito up.
That seems a very logical conclusion at first.
No, that might not be it.
Huh? Are you trying to protect the traitor? They didn't call out when we were in danger.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Maybe because the traitor wasn't among us, that's why he didn't call out at all. And the thing that I really thought about, right, is that if Nagito found out about, like, why would he even plan that whole fake bomb scenario in the first place? You know? Why would he have planned it in the first place if he knew all along that the traitor was... I mean, the whole reason why he did that was because he knew there wasn't a traitor, but he just wanted us to, I don't know, go through that for some reason.
Wait. Don't tell me you're the traitor.
Don't say something so stupid! There's no way in hell I'm the traitor!
Now that's more like it! Why don't you guys hurry and start arguing already?
How could I even fucking forget this? Because remember when I said, oh, maybe Chucky is the traitor, but of course not. Well, at least not according to that test thing, you remember? Because the way that Nagito set it up was that the traitor, supposedly, when she swipes her e-handbook over it, it doesn't, it says it's okay, that it says that she's not the traitor. But, I mean, if that thing is accurate, then yeah, Chucky is not the traitor. At that moment, actually, that entirely slipped my mind. The traitor and the killer who murdered Nagito. Is he right? Are they the same person? Or...
The killer didn't tape Nagito's mouth to shut him up. I'm telling you, they were torturing him.
The reason Nagito's body was covered with wounds.
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
So that's why he was so beat up.
What were they trying to find out by torturing him? Definitely the bomb's hiding place.
If so, the suspect
Is whoever found the bomb first!
That was Fuyuhiko.
I found it by coincidence. There's no way I'd torture someone.
Why did the killer have to torture Nagito? No. Were the wounds on Nagito's body really caused by torture in the first place?
The killer didn't tape Nagito's mouth to shut him up.
That's the thing, right? If we
I'm
think
telling
he's a
you,
traitor
they
and
were
he's not,
torturing him.
so the duct tape is not placed to
The reason
torture
Nagito's
Nagito.
body was covered with wounds.
It's because the killer tortured Nagito.
No, that's wrong! But Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape, so he wouldn't have been able to confess anything.
Yeah, because the duct tape was on his mouth and blood after. So the duct tape was before then. So like, if you're trying to confess if you're trying to get information out of someone, why put duct tape over their mouth and then hurt them? Because they're not saying anything with duct tape over their mouth while you're slashing them. So it's not, I don't know. So, you know, if you're trying to torture someone for information, you obviously want their mouth not to be covered.
If he was being tortured for information, they wouldn't have taped his mouth like that.
I'm prepared.
Already? Rebuttal showdown? Alright.
I just realized it. It's a trap.
Trap?
Stupid Hajime. You got caught in that trap.
What trap? Stupid?
Like you said, if Nagito's mouth was taped shut, you obviously assume he couldn't talk, but that was the trap. They wanted to hide the fact that he got interrogated.
But if you tape his mouth shut, how is he supposed to answer anything?
I know, right?
Pay attention. This is how at first the killer tortured Nagito. and got information about the bomb's location. Then, after they killed him...
Why did I get retreat there? Is that the answer or something?
Like you said, if
moment I
Nagito's
cut
mouth
that
was...
one-
You obviously assumed he couldn't talk, but that was the... After they killed him...
Allow me to cut through those words! No, there's no doubt Nagito's mouth was covered with duct tape before he was beat up.
What did you say?
Who cares about the duct tape? We might as well settle this with rock, paper, scissors.
Oh my god.
We don't need to play a game. It's clear the duct tape was on his mouth before the torture even began.
Because there's no blood underneath his duct tape at all whatsoever.
Why do you always side with Hajime? Do you have a crush on him or something?
No, it's just following fucking logic, okay? Are you in elementary school or something?
You were with us when I peeled the duct tape off Nagito's mouth, right? The blood on Nagito's face wasn't under the duct tape, remember?
The blood on his face came from his arm wounds. Which means the duct tape was on his face before his arms were even wounded.
And the duct tape had a lot of crinkles around his mouth. He must have been struggling to open his mouth under the duct tape.
Perhaps the duct tape was used so he wouldn't be able to scream.
I thought that too, yeah.
Then it's like I said at the beginning. The tape wasn't for torture. It was to keep his mouth shut.
Yeah.
However, if they wanted to seal his mouth, they did not need to hurt him with such ferocity.
They probably had a deep grudge against Nagito.
Then, are you saying the killer was trying to make him suffer?
It certainly looks like that.
If so, it's friggin' crazy. Did they go psycho or something?
No, they didn't just go crazy. Whoever did this must be one crafty bastard. If not, they wouldn't have taken the time to set fire to the crime scene and destroy all the evidence.
The warehouse fire was for destroying evidence?
That's the thing, I feel like not that much was actually burned, was it? Just that curtain and some of the Monokuma panels. Other than that, not much was burned, actually. So that's why I was wondering, like, what was the exact purpose of the fire? Because none of the real big clues was burned.
We can't think of any other reason.
But who could have done that? When the fire occurred, everyone in this room was gathered in front of the warehouse.
Yeah. And right after I opened the warehouse door, the flames started burning from the very back.
Which means, it is plausible to think that nobody here set the fire.
The killer isn't one of us. But that's not the case, huh? I mean, it's wishful thinking.
I don't know, Kazuichi.
Even if it was only a coincidence, the timing was just too perfect.
Oh, it's not a coincidence.
Based on the pattern up until now, we should suspect that some kind of setup was used for this.
Some kind of setup? Like what?
I do not know that, but that has been the pattern before.
That's our Miss Sonia. You have such an amazingly high intellect. Alrighty then, let's think about this based on what Miss Sonia thinks. Is that okay, Miss Sonia?
Damn right it is!
The reason for the fire, huh? They're right. We need to clear that up first. Oh, that's definitely, the panels falling over. Which ones burned rope, survive on life, oil lighter. I mean, the oil lighter, I feel like that's directly it.
The
but
direct
like,
cause of the fire was the oil lighter found at the crime scene, right?
yeah.
The killer used some kind of setup. He lit the curtain on fire with the lighter.
Some kind of setup?
Did they use the oil as an improvised fuse?
They probably just threw the lighter.
No.
Based on the shape of that oil lighter, it can stand upright while the flame is lit.
If they tipped over the lighter in some way, it could have ignited the curtain.
So the panels.
Some way?
Maybe they used invisible thread.
There should have been a way to tip it over with sound waves.
No.
Or
Sound
perhaps
waves.
opening the door caused...
Yes. Thank you, Sonia.
I agree with that. I also agree that opening the door is what started the fire.
That's actually, now it comes together, right? Because the thing that happens, now I sort of realize what exactly, because before it was kind of unclear what exactly the Monokuma thingy panels tipped over. But the thing you have to remember about that oil light is, right, that even if no one is present there, if you just have it open and like set in a specific way, it still is on. The fire keeps burning because it's on oil, right? So it keeps burning. So if they just have it stand up straight on, so the fire is still going, and then the moment we open the door, boom, panels start falling, and the panel ultimately falls into the oil lighter, knocking the oil lighter over as well, and then causing everything else to go up in flames.
Just as I thought! It was the wind pressure! A dust devil blown here from glorious Japan!
No, not wind pressure. They probably used the Monokuma panels. A huge number of tipped-over Monokuma panels were found at the crime scene, right? It looked like they were scattered everywhere, but some were laying on top of each other in a single line. Just a single line leading from the warehouse door to the fire's origin.
Does that mean anything?
The killer probably arranged those Monokuma panels to create a domino effect.
Boom.
A domino effect. You mean those tiles kids play with by lining them up and tipping them over?
In place of those tiles, the killer used the Monokuma panels. So when we opened the warehouse door, the first panel toppled into the second.
Uh-huh. Yeah, perfect. I love this drawing.
And from there, they fell like dominoes until they reached the lighter at the end.
But wouldn't it be obvious that those big panels were falling over?
It was dark though. We couldn't see anything.
That's probably why they turned off the lights in the warehouse, so we wouldn't notice them.
So the reason the warehouse was dark was to hide the domino effect.
And one more thing. There was something else the killer did to hide the domino effect, right?
The killer did one other thing to hide the domino effects. Hide the domino effect? Roll lighter, MP3, this not, no. No, no, no. No. The MP3 player could be it. Because I guess panels falling over sort of makes sound. You know, clattering sound falling over and over, you know? So I guess okay, so the MP3 player wasn't necessary. It is to cover up some sort of sound. I thought maybe it was just to cover up Nagito screaming, but it makes more sense that it covers up the sound of the panels falling. Because I actually thought they were like cardboard or whatever, you know, that it doesn't make much sound, but it could make sense that if they do make sound, this actually covers up that sound. Because these two things coincided, right? Music and then fire. It's like this chain of effects, chain of events, and this seems to match pretty well. I think it's the MP3 player actually.
I see.
Well, it's the only thing possible of that. Of the entire
You're
list.
talking about the MP3 player, right? That hymn blaring throughout the warehouse masked the sound of the falling panels.
The inside of the warehouse felt even darker because our eyes were still used to the bright sunlight outside. Within that darkness, a loud hymnal blared throughout the warehouse at full volume. Hey, do you guys hear something? Yeah, it's really damn loud. Does Nagito like listening to this pressing crab? Blah blah blah. Yeah, okay, so the music. And as if on cue, it suddenly started a fire whoosh.
That's
So
it.
yeah.
So the strange sound was actually the sound of the panels falling.
Mm-hmm.
But those sounds weren't the only strange thing, right? Looking back on it, it was also strange when we opened the door to the warehouse.
It's fine. I'll open it slowly. No, that's not the problem. Seriously, it'll be fine. Boom. And with those words, I kind of brushed off everyone's warning, slowly opened, but then it was locked. Huh? It's not opening? Is there something blocking the door? And then she pushed it open with force. So finally, just gotta use more force. Akane ignored the protest and with a mighty kick, the door flew open. Bam!
Ah, so the door was being blocked by a Monokuma panel.
I guess that could make sense. Yeah, that it was like right in front of it. Okay, and that kind of that means at the beginning, because in the beginning you see like a few scattered Monokuma panels. I guess that would make sense, yeah, because she like, boom, she busted it open with more force than intentional.
And when we opened the door, the domino effect started, and the falling panels eventually reached the lighter.
Yeah, and that's how the warehouse caught on fire. At least, that's how it looks.
You don't look so sure.
At the time, Akane mentioned that she could barely open the door.
Because the panel was blocking it, right?
But I don't know, like a flimsy little Monokuma panel? I don't think that's enough to block an entire door just when you're regularly opening it.
But the blocked doorway, there wasn't enough space for a person to fit through, right?
Is that a problem?
It's a major problem. I mean, that door was the only entrance to the warehouse.
If that door was the only entrance to the warehouse, I see. So the problem Chiaki is talking about is we couldn't see anyone, we couldn't take any merch, why would we? The killer couldn't have left, they could have hidden inside. That's true, the killer couldn't have left.
I see!
If the panel was so close to the door that it could barely be opened, the killer inside the warehouse wouldn't be able to leave, right?
Nope.
Now that you mention it.
Does that mean they were hiding inside?
Who? We were all outside the warehouse,
yeah,
you know.
That's the thing. Cause you can't, that's the thing why I actually think it's Nagito as well, or at least it seems like it, or they're making it look like for us to think that way. Because you have to, if you set up the Monokuma panels on the inside against the door, how can you get outside? If all of us is outside already, who is left? Only Nagito that's laying on the floor there, but he's then not dead at the moment yet. He's tied down and everything, so who the fuck actually is it? So the only person that is left and then is Nagito. Then he just first did everything from, you know, he did first place the panels and everything and then did everything else. Like he did it in a specific order.
Based on the patterns up until now, I believe some kind of setup was used.
You don't have to think so hard. There's actually only one person who could have possibly done this.
Yeah. Huh?
You don't mean...
But if that's true, this murder...
Hajime? What do you mean?
The person who set up the domino effect inside the warehouse, there's only one person who could have done that. That's Nagito himself, no one else. Where is he? Here is the crazy bastard.
This is my answer! What if it was Nagito?
Why'd you bring him up? He's the victim, you know.
He wasn't just the victim. Maybe.
Maybe. You're thinking about it too, Chiaki?
Huh?
Not just the victim? What does that mean?
He was the victim. And he was the perpetrator too. Maybe.
Are you saying this was a suicide? Don't be stupid. His body was covered in torture wounds. Or did you already forget? Are you saying those were all self-inflicted?
It can definitely be. Because, I mean, if you look at the rope, like, 3 out of the 4 ropes are actually tied. One was sort of quote-unquote burned off.
But Nagito might do something like that, don't you think?
Definitely.
That's not the issue. He was tied up, remember?
3 out of the 4, though, not every single.
Even for a creep like Nagito, it'd be impossible for him to tie up his own arms and legs.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, as long as you understand.
That's the thing that I'm struggling with as well. Like, most things seem to fit well, but like the fact that he's tied down, you can't tie yourself down in that way. I mean, even if it's 3 out of 4, like the survival knife is still in his right arm. That means he must have plunged it with his left hand into his right hand, right? But if his left hand is I mean, I guess you could hold the knife in your left hand, bring your right hand too. You're tied down on left hand, stab yourself with it, or like put your hand over the knife, you know? You're not stabbing yourself, you're actually just pushing your hand on top of the knife and then taking the knife that way from your left hand. That's a possibility.
It seems we need to discuss how Nagito was able to tie himself up.
Need to discuss? That's not necessary at all. No matter how much you think about it, it's clearly impossible.
Like he said, it seems impossible if you think about it. But I feel like I'm overlooking something. I feel like the fact that 3 out of 4, his right hand wasn't completely tied. So I think the one is the burned rope here.
To actually tie up your own arms and legs. That's obviously impossible!
Tying just the legs is one thing, but tying both arms would be impossible.
You couldn't do much with the free arm.
It'd be impossible if you were by yourself.
How about if you use your teeth? Or if you use your front tail?
What?
Dirty joke! Is that a dirty joke?
Apparently it was. If our assumption that Nagito committed suicide is correct, Nagito should have tied himself up too. That's okay, right? I think it's
to
definitely
actually
possible.
tie up your own arms
because
and
of
legs.
God damn it, get out of the way! What?
That's
Dude!
obviously impossible! To actually tie up...
There we go.
No, that's wrong! Hold on a sec. Isn't that premise flawed?
What? I mean, it's no mistake that his arms and legs were...
No, it shouldn't have been both of his arms. The rope on his right arm was completely burnt up. Based on that, you can't say he was tied up.
That was just burned by the fire. He should have been tied up before then.
It burned because of the fire. Like you said, it might look like that.
But he could make it, you know? He could have just done... The first thing he could have done is just tied the rope around his right hand, then burn a piece of it off to make it look like, oh yeah, they're gonna think like, oh, it burned off because of the fire. But that's just to make it look like he was tied down with his right hand too. But in the meantime, that is just his free hand to then tie all the other limbs of him. His right leg, left leg, and left arm hand.
But that was part of the trap. There's concrete evidence that proves it.
The proof that the burned rope on Nagito's right arm is a trap is the lighter, right sleeve, the duct tape, the knife in his right hand. I feel like it's his right sleeve.
I see!
Take a close look at his right sleeve. Even though the rope was burnt up, his sleeve wasn't burned at all. Wouldn't you agree?
And like, why did it cut? Like, why does the rope, like, why does it stop burning at that specific point? If rope burns in the first place, it's just gonna keep burning until the entire rope is burnt and gone, right? So why did it stop at that point?
A burn like this, no matter how you think about it, is unnatural. That rope was burned in advance so it would look like it was burned in the fire.
Then Nagito's right arm wasn't tied up, right? He was able to move it freely, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that should be the case.
Hajime, that's awesome! I'll let you cop a feel if you want.
Oh, let me do it right now.
Akane, you should not give it away for free. Make sure they pay you first.
So, let me guess, prostitution is fine in your country, Sonia?
That's definitely wrong.
Yeah.
Fine. I just gotta get a Benjamin from him before I let him touch me, right?
How much is a Benjamin? $100 bill or $1 bill?
That's not what I meant. I'm talking about Nagito. I mean, even if his right hand wasn't tied up, the knife was still stabbed into it, you know?
That's the thing I'm wondering about as well. How did he do that? I feel like he can pull it off somehow. The one thing I was thinking about, like holding it in your left hand and then propping your right hand on top of it. So deep that when you move your right hand, it takes the knife along with it. It's possible, but maybe there are other possibilities that I'm not thinking about right now.
It's impossible to stab a knife into your right hand with your right hand. Ah, that much is obvious.
Hajime, you tricked me. Give me back that Benjamin.
Not only did she try to charge me, now she wants the money back? What the hell? Yeah, there's a no money back guarantee, okay?
Hold on.
Wait.
There should be a way.
Wait, wait, we supposedly paid her and now she wants her money back, but she didn't give us anything. That was the part of the joke, right? Fuck me, that went with like whoosh right over my head.
Then hurry up and spill it.
If it's something lame, I'll make you give back the Benjamin with 10,000% interest.
A way to stab yourself in your right hand using only your right hand. It's okay. There's definitely an answer for this. Is there? Switcher room, burn rope, survival knife, plushie, panels, oil lighter, torture wounds. No. Blood on girdle. I don't think that's with the spear.
Even if Nagito's right hand was free, how could he stab his right hand with his right hand?
If he threw the knife into the air and let the knife fall, could he stab his hand that way?
Is he a throwing knife expert?
Maybe he propped the knife somehow? And slammed his right hand down on it?
Oh.
Propped it onto what?
If he just propped the knife,
Oh, the plushie.
he could
There's
have
a
used
hole
his
in it,
bound
right?
hand.
If you're tied up, your arms
Oh, I
won't
was
bend
thinking
that
that
easily.
too.
We don't
Use the
know if his
bound-up
left hand
hand,
could even
left
reach his
hand.
right hand.
That's true. Fuck. If Nagito could only use his right hand to stab himself in the palm, then how did he do it? Because there's a hole in the middle of the stomach of the Monokuma plushie, right? So let's say you put the handle part of the knife into that hole, so that it props up, that the pointy end is pointing up, right? The sharp end of the knife. And then you just slam your hand on top of that. And that's why there's like blood all around that circle too. That is a possibility. I feel like that's
Even
it.
if Nagito's right hand was free, how could he
think,
stab his...
If he
Chuck
threw
is
the knife and
right.
let the knife, could he stab his hand? Is he a throwing knife? Maybe he propped the knife somehow.
I agree with that. The life-sized Monokuma plushie. He must have used that to prop the knife.
Makes sense. That's why there was a big hole in the plushie's stomach. He inserted the knife handle into that hole to prop it up. Then he slammed his hand onto it. If that's it, he had to place the plushie near him. And it also explains the mysterious blood on the plushie.
But it is kind of far though.
So the blood on the plushie came from Nagito after he stabbed the knife into his own right hand.
I see. So that's the trick.
But for a moment, I seriously thought Monokuma died or something.
A bleeding plushie is super scary. It's got the same fear factor as a doll whose hair grows too long.
After stabbing his hand, he no longer needed the plushie, so he cast it off toward the fire's origin point.
Yeah, I guess he could have, just pushed it away with his free hand still.
He probably thought the fire would incinerate it and destroy the evidence.
So what do you think now, Fuyuhiko?
I get what you're saying about the wound on his right hand, but there's still one huge problem. The spear. Basically, you're saying Nagito committed suicide by impaling himself with a spear, right?
Oh, but that's fairly easy.
If you think about the order, getting killed by the spear should have been the last thing to happen to Nagito. If that's true, how is that possible? He can't grab a spear with his right hand if a knife is stabbed into it and his left hand was all tied up.
Yeah, so his left hand was already holding that rope, like you could see there already. Yeah.
Then he probably took the spear first, and as he endured the pain, he stabbed the knife into his right hand.
There is a limit to his constitution.
Yeah.
If you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
Whoa, Sonia! Whoa! Yeah. Kazumi's just like, what?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch all that.
Like I said, if you got penetrated by something so big and thick, you would die instantly.
There wasn't any need to repeat that, Sonia, but I guess some people are glad that you did.
Say it one more time. I need you recorded. For reasons.
Don't worry, Kazuichi, I got your back. I got this recorded.
Hey, bastard, you better cut it out!
Like she said, in that condition, it's very difficult to stab yourself with a spear. It'd be hard to use a spear with a knife stab into your right hand while your left hand is tied up.
So you're saying it's impossible?
But no matter what I think, I can't believe Nagito's death was caused by someone else.
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder for me to believe that too. Oh, definitely, actually.
I also agree with that. To think that one of us could kill someone with such cruelty, I could never believe that.
You say you can't believe it? You just don't want to believe it, right? But that's why you keep getting betrayed over and over again, right? Same goes for this time, too.
Is that true?
You just shut your mouth. It's against the rules to interfere with everyone.
Oh, Monami finally talked?
If you even think about doing anything, I have a plan of my own.
Oh, what is her plan?
Monami sassing me.
But
It's sassed
it's
on.
just as Monokuma said. We've been betrayed over and over again so far. So,
But, like, I don't know. I feel like if I really start to think back on all the murders, it actually doesn't feel like that bad of a betrayal to begin with. Because Taro kind of, you know, he protected us, or protected by Byakuya in that sense, from Nagito. In chapter 2, who actually died in chapter 2? Was it the beach, was it Peko Pekoyama? Yeah, Peko Pekoyama. Who kind of killed to protect the master, Fuyuhiko. Chapter 3, that was, God, how the fuck did I forget her name? The nurse girl. Something with M, I don't fucking know. Her murder, I'm actually kind of questionable about that. I don't quite remember that at the moment, so I'm not gonna spend 5 minutes thinking about it. But especially like the 4th chapter, those murders, or like, you know, what happened in the 4th chapter in the funhouse, those really feels like sacrifices for the group, so that we all could continue to live on. That's how both of those deaths feel like to all of us. So I feel like actually we weren't that badly betrayed.
this might also be the same. Calling this a suicide takes too much for granted, and it's too convenient.
Then are you saying there is a killer among us, Kazuichi?
Of course, that doesn't include Miss Sonia and me.
Alright, obviously.
As Kazuichi said, it's true we've been constantly betrayed. But even if I'm betrayed again, I still want to believe in everyone. No matter how many times I may be betrayed, I still want to believe in everyone.
See, this is what I mean. She's like a sparkling beam of hope.
I also want to believe that there's no killer, but suicide is unimaginable.
Do you really think so?
But you said it too. It'd be impossible for him to stab himself with a spear in his condition.
No, not impossible.
I did say difficult, but I never said impossible.
Huh?
I feel that there's some way he could have stabbed himself with that spear.
Oh yeah, we figured this out already.
What kind of way?
I don't know.
You don't know.
It's impossible to figure out by myself. So let's think about it together.
See, that's why I don't like the attitude of everybody else, you know? They're like, what, you don't know? Like, you're supposed to know, Chiaki. Like, instead, Chiaki's just like, you know, she's just being very reasonable about it. No way can someone figure all of this out by themselves. So she's like, alright, we just gotta, you know, we're a group. We gotta think about it together. Like, I just feel like people are the rest of them are so quickly to eliminate certain things without looking at the actual proof. You know, if the proof says that that specific option has been completely eliminated, then fine, we'll eliminate it. But indeed, Chiaki says it's not impossible, it's just difficult. So let's try and think about the possible ways that he could actually do it. And if we don't think of any, then okay, well, I guess we'll eliminate it then. But like, you shouldn't, in just situations like this, or just in general, when you're trying to, you know, investigate about things, don't quickly dismiss everything. Just try to think about every single possibility first.
That's how. We made it this far up till now.
No.
Everyone working together.
She's right. We've made it through several ordeals up till now by doing that. Then, even now.
Alright, let's do this.
Let's do this. Well, it's about how we could have done it, right? It's definitely the blood on the left hand.
How did Nagito stab himself with a spear? Let's work together and think this through.
When the spear stabbed Nagito, his right hand was covered by the knife, right?
He was only able to move his left hand.
But his left hand was also tied up.
Then that rules out his left hand.
I don't think, no.
If that's the case, the only other way is...
He used his teeth? Or maybe he used his front tail.
Oh, again.
I know guys have tails that get hard when they're grabbed.
What the fuck is with all the innuendos?
A blushing Miss Sonia is freaking awesome!
Like, both Akane and Sonia are just throwing innuendos left and right. If Nagito committed suicide, then he must have used that spear to stab himself. Even if his arms and legs were tied up, there's no doubt he used some part of his body, and not his tail. The only thing he could have used is...
How did Nagito stab himself with a... Let's work together. When the spear stuck, his right hand was...
He was only able to... But his left hand was...
Then that rules out his left
Doesn't
hand.
rule it out.
No, that's wrong! Hold on. It's still too early to dismiss the possibility that he used his left hand.
Why? I mean, his left hand was tied up, you know?
But just because it's tied down or tied up doesn't mean it's completely dysfunctional. You can't do anything with it anymore.
But there was something off about his left hand. The bloodstain on the palm of his hand. Don't you think it looked somewhat strange? He only had blood on the lower area of his palm. Beyond that point, the bloodstain suddenly cuts off, right?
When the blood splattered, that's as far as it reached, right?
Yep.
That settles the description of that bloodstain, but it's not the only unnatural bloodstain. Look, there's blood on the back of his hand, around the middle joints of his fingers.
Yeah, so definitely gripping or
Like you
making a
said,
fist.
it looks like an unnatural bloodstain, but what's wrong with that?
We might need to think and use our imaginations for a bit. If there's blood on his palm, and the back of his hand, what was his left hand doing as the blood splattered?
It held on to something. What was Nagito's left hand doing when the blood splattered? Open. Back of his hand was exposed. No, definitely not hiding. Gripping. Gripping.
I see!
It is gripping.
When the blood splattered, he was probably gripping with his left hand. That's why there's such a strange-looking bloodstain on his palm and the back of his hand.
Was he grabbing his front tail?
Oh, come on!
Perish the thought! He was obviously grabbing the spear!
Part of the spear that's connected to the spear.
Now that you
Cord.
mention it, compared to
The
the
rope.
rest of his body, the wounds on his left arm are pretty mild. He probably made his wounds mild on purpose, so he could keep his strength while he gripped the spear.
But even if he held the spear with his tied-up left hand, it'd be impossible for him to stab himself.
I didn't really get from that picture with Nagito lying down that his left wounds on his left arm are mild. It kind of looks similar, if not worse, than the legs on his, or the wounds on his, cut wounds on his legs, but okay. That's right. That's the problem.
Hey Chiaki, what do you think? Hey, don't tell me you're getting sleepy.
No. She's thinking.
At times like this, you should always strike from a good angle, just like fixing an old TV.
Oh, I got it. Maybe.
Maybe.
Huh? Really?
Yeah, like I thought. It's no mistake that Nagito was gripping the spear. I think.
Always so unsure of herself. Like, usually what she says is right, and then she follows it up with a maybe, I think, I'm not sure.
However, what's important is what section of the spear he was gripping.
What section of the spear was he holding on to? Handle, cord, shaft, blade. Shaft, nah, it's supposed to be cord.
I see! That's it! Instead of the handle, Nagito must have been holding on to the cord.
I mean, you know, there's a clear part.
There was a metal
on it.
weight at the tip of the cord, but there were bloodstains on that part too.
Yeah, and there's like, you know, blood at the end of the cord. It's like blood, no blood, and then blood again. It makes no sense.
Plus, the joint between the weight and the cord had a bloodstain shaped like it was cut off by something.
Isn't the size of that cut-off section about the same size as a human fist?
Bingo.
Ah, you're right. So this is the part Nagito was gripping, huh?
Yep. Not the front tail, Akane.
And then the blood that was supposed to end up here ended up getting on Nagito's left hand.
Boom.
But why is it so important to know which part of the spear he was gripping?
Because if he lets it go, it falls down.
You're not
Boom,
gonna say
dead.
he gripped the tip of the cord, swung the spear around, and stabbed himself, right?
That is where the clue to solve this mystery resides. Right, Chiaki?
Yep.
I am sorry. Of course this mystery will not be solved that easily.
Nagito was gripping the cord extending from the butt of the spear with his left hand. But from there, how would he stab himself in the stomach with the spear? That was easy.
It seems we are stuck. Shall we have tea time?
What?
At a time like this,
No tea time. We're not British.
how about we stick to the plan to think one step at a time instead of expecting the answers all at once?
Wow, what a plan. That's not a very catchy name. Alright guys, let's do plan TOSAT. Wait, at A, you usually don't mention that. TOSTIE AAO. What the fuck? The plan's to think one step at a time instead of expecting the answers all at once.
That's a long plan name.
Holy shit.
One step at a time? What does that mean?
Let's focus on the spear first. Namely, where it was and how it was positioned just before it impaled Nagito.
How it was positioned.
Nagito was facing up, and the spear was stabbed through his stomach. So, if it's just before that, it means it's hanging up above him. That's it! Could it be? The state of the spear, and the fact that Nagito was holding the tip of the cord attachment. If I put those thoughts, those together, and think about it, I should be able to figure it out. Where the spear was, and what state it was in before it stabbed Nagito. What are we gonna do? Is it my favorite? Yes! Favorite thing, logic dive. Let's go. Okay guys, I promise not to fall this time or bump into anything. That's actually a really difficult promise to make. But I'm gonna be promising that. Ooh, doing good. Oh shit, yeah, still doing good. Oh! No! So much pressure I'm putting on myself. Question 1, where was the spear just before it impaled Nagito? Above Nagito and Nagito's left hand, under Nagito. It was above Nagito. Simple. Boom. Right, we made the first section without anything bumping into us. They're actually moving objects now that I need to avoid. Oh! This isn't too difficult actually, avoiding it. And before I crash because of it. Question 2. Besides the spear, what else was above Nagito? Sprinklers, a ceiling girder, a stuffed plushie. A ceiling girder. This part, section of like with the entire thing with the spear is already pretty clear, at least to me. Because I feel like during the investigation we pretty much solved that one already. Oh, don't. Ooh. Oh fuck! No, that thing moved out of nowhere. Holy shit. Okay, I only bumped into something once, okay? Only once? That thing is juking, it's like going back and forth. It's trying to trick us. And we actually fell for it. Oh, once. Question 3. What item connects both the spear and the ceiling girder? The rope on Nagito's left hand, the rope on Nagito's right hand, the spear's cord. It gotta be the spear's cord, right? Yeah, stick on this one. That's the thing that, I mean, how else? How else? That's what he's holding on to, that's how it connects to the girder, and then it's hanging above him, and then it falls down. Boom! Peace out, suckers! I only bumped into you once, which is actually bad. It's not 100%. It's not
all
A+.
coming together. The spear impaled Nagito as he was laying face up. It must have been perpendicular to him just before that.
Perpendicular? In the middle of the air?
If Nagito did that all by himself, did he have some sort of ESP?
That'd be awesome, but he probably used the ceiling girder directly above him.
Nagito probably slung the cord over the ceiling girder, and using that as a support. He hoisted the spear directly above him. And if Nagito let go of the cord, the spear would have fallen and impaled him while he was laying face up.
Boom.
I noticed a slight red streak on the ceiling girder. It probably got smeared there during the setup.
The blood on the cord probably rubbed off on the ceiling girder as the spear was falling. So, how about it? Using this method, Nagito could have impaled himself with the spear.
Definitely.
Are you serious? He really committed suicide? Like that?
It seems like it.
He probably chose that spear so he could commit suicide like that. If someone else did this, there's no reason they'd go to all this trouble just to kill someone with a spear.
Yeah.
I agree. When I was investigating this case, I kept thinking over and over how strange it was. Why did the killer use the knife and the spear so differently?
So you're saying he needed to use that spear to pull off his trick?
Then, this is for real?
It seems like it.
He really committed suicide? Every single wound on his body. That was all him?
All him, baby.
Not just that, he did all that while he was gripping the spear? That spear should not have stabbed Nagito until the very end.
Oh my god, just looking at this. Fuck.
Which means Nagito wounded himself while he was gripping that spear, right?
Did he put the duct tape on his mouth too?
Yeah.
He probably covered his own mouth so we wouldn't hear him screaming in pain.
Did he need to go that far? That's beyond crazy! Why would he do that to himself?
So that he becomes a stepping stone for us.
He was probably trying to get us to make a mistake. By committing a suicide that looked like a murder, he was trying to steer us toward the wrong answer.
No, it's the opposite.
His goal was to get us all executed.
No, it's not.
And that's why he stabbed himself over and over again?
Did he want us to die that bad?
That's messed up. That's seriously so messed up.
Yeah, that's our Nagito.
It's like how a parent talks about their, you know, about their stupid kid whenever it makes another mistake. Well, that's our Nagito. You can just expect that from him. Jeez. And I was starting to feel a little sympathetic toward him. How stupid of me. I completely underestimated his capacity for malice. A mind-boggling malice that threatens us even after he's died. That's the form his malice took. I'd forgotten all about it until now. If he was here now, he'd probably be sneering at me.
However, there is one thing I still do not understand. He said he would reveal the traitor, right?
But the traitor, that's the thing, right? The traitor never revealed themselves. Therefore, I'm like, maybe this is his way of revealing the traitor. Like, hey, it's me, actually.
Whatever became of that?
He was probably planning to kill the traitor along with the rest of us.
So why did he not just do that in the first place? If he had no qualms with killing everyone, he did not have to cause a bomb scare to reveal the traitor.
I bet the bomb scare was part of the strategy behind this trick. He made us split up and search for a bomb so none of us would have an alibi. He created a scenario where any of us could have killed him.
He tried to make us doubt each other, and tried to hide the truth behind his suicide.
Did he cause a bomb scare for that reason alone?
He's a fucking bastard who killed himself for his delusions of grandeur. It's not that unthinkable.
You are right, I suppose.
I suppose.
Yeah, it appears we've come to a conclusion. Bastard Nagito committed suicide. It was all done by him so we'd be executed.
That should be okay, right? Right?
Right?
What? You're not satisfied yet?
No, I agree that Nagito killed himself, but I feel like there's something that doesn't make sense.
This feels very fast. I do think that Nagito is the killer, though. He killed himself.
It's probably just my imagination.
But I'm sort of siding with Akane on this. Why? I mean, I sort of understand what she's talking about. I don't think it's a mistake to assume that Nagito committed suicide. But why do I feel so uneasy about it? Is it because we don't know who the traitor is? Or...
So what are you gonna do? Is it okay to proceed with the voting time?
Already?
What do you think, Akane?
Well, there's no doubt Nagito's death was a suicide. Oh well, I guess my gut is wrong sometimes.
Except when it's hungry.
You're right. It is not as though we can draw any other conclusion.
Then it's okay to end it here, huh?
I guess so.
That means we're done with this last class trial and we can leave this island, right? It's okay to reach such a happy ending, right?
I don't know, you're getting a bit too happy about this.
Then it's okay? It's okay to say, you've decided on the killer?
Like, Monokuma's really, like, pushing us forward to, like, yeah, you decided on this, right? Like, really making it, like, seem like, is it really? 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 And then, you know, it makes us question, like, wait, did we really? Why is Monokuma so adamant in trying to push the voting forward?
Understood. Then voting time.
No, hold on a sec.
Yeah, Hajime. I feel like he's too pushy with it. He's too pushy with it. Something is up.
Hold on. Why?
I don't know what it is exactly, but it just doesn't feel completely resolved yet, you know? Because there are certain clues as well. I feel like every single class trial uses every single clue that we find, if not 90% of it, you know? And here it feels like we've only gone through maybe half or something, or maybe a bit more. But it doesn't feel complete to me.
Sorry, just a little more. I want you guys to wait just a little more. I can't help but feel like there's still something we overlooked.
Like who the traitor is?
But the issue here is who killed Nagito, right? Even if we identify the traitor, the conclusion won't change.
Most likely, yeah.
That's true, but...
The mystery isn't just about who the traitor is.
Huh?
No matter how you look at it, Nagito's death is a suicide. But... I'm a little worried, you know? I'm worried about starting the voting time while there's still a mystery.
Hey, what do you mean it's not about who the traitor is? What kind of mystery is left?
There's just one thing that doesn't make sense, and it relates to Nagito's death. Plus, it's something even Nagito couldn't influence. He couldn't even tamper with the evidence for it.
Something related to Nagito's death? And it's something that even he couldn't have messed with.
You're gonna keep going? Here I thought we were finally finished.
Something related to Nagito's death. A piece of evidence that even he couldn't mess with. Oh. This, right? He can't mess with the Monokuma file. He can't determine what is written on the Monokuma file at the end. That's what Monokuma does himself. Now that's the one thing when he can't mess with. Like everything else he can sort of influence, right? He can use all of these things to make it look like, oh, this is what happened, this is what happened. He can use all of these things, but at the end of the day, Monokuma writes down what's on the Monokuma file according to, you know, how much information he's willing to give away and how he reads the situation himself as well. So some things might be just completely misunderstood in how Naito wanted it to come across as. But like, see, the poison hasn't been used yet. The blue piece of paper, the gas mask, the notebook, all the accounts of people, like we half of it have only been used so far of the clues of the truth bullets. But I think the Monokuma file's the one thing he can't mess with.
Is it about the Monokuma file?
Yeah, that's it.
Huh? There was something suspicious in the Monokuma file?
No, but I just feel like that's the one thing he just doesn't have control over. He can't influence that. The victim is Naito Kamada. The body was discovered inside the warehouse near the Monokuma Plushie factory. Estimated time of death is believed to be noon sharp. Not only is there a spear stab in the stomach there are multiple stab wounds on each of his thighs. Furthermore, there's a laceration on the left arm and a knife impaled through his right hand. The suspicious part of the Monokuma file that Chucky is worried about is... what is it? What's hidden in the Monokuma file? Oh, what we gotta do? Don't tell me. Oh, this is actually my least favorite Hangman's Gambit. Something in the Monokuma file. Cause of death.
I got it!
Because the thing is, like, the poison, I feel like I might be wrong, right about that.
In this particular case's Monokuma file, there's no specific cause of death.
It doesn't say that the spirit killed him. Like, it just says he has that wound, but it doesn't say that that is what killed him. So I feel like it actually is the gas. The poison that then turns into a gaseous state because of the fire. Because, once again, I'm trying to figure out, like, why is there any need to cause a fire? Like, you know, if we just look at this case, without a fire starting, without anything else, he could have just done the cutting himself and just hanging the spear there and everything, without there being need of a fire, without there being need of the Monokuma panels and stuff like that. There was no need for that, other than the fact that the cause of death is not to kind of, you know, I just feel like there's a reason behind why the fire started, and the only reason for me that makes sense is so that it turns that poison into a gaseous state, which then is the thing that actually kills Naito, and not the spear. Not only is there a spear stabbed in the stomach, there are multiple stab wounds on each of his thighs. Furthermore, there is a laceration on his left arm and a knife impaled through his right hand.
Isn't that weird? Until now, the files always specified the cause of death.
But the cause of death is obvious, is it not?
If it's obvious, why isn't it mentioned?
The spear in Nagito's stomach. It is obvious just by looking at it that it was a cause of death.
Yeah, but they can make you want to think that.
Maybe it's not included if it's not important enough to write about.
Oh, come on. Come on. Even you don't believe that. Oh, it's not included because it's not. Every single tiny, minute detail is important when it comes to a murder, okay? You're not just gonna say, yeah, everybody is gonna get that. Even if everybody's gonna get that, you still have that one moron, which is probably me. He just won't get it. Out of the 100 people, there's one idiot that just won't get it. And for that one idiot, you always have to write it. No matter how obvious it seems, it always has to be said or written down.
Well, Monokuma?
I plead the fifth!
Is it really 5th? I always thought it was the 5th.
There he goes again! I'm so appalled that I have nothing to say.
But even during Gundam's case, and before during Mikan's case...
Mikan, that was her name. I thought it was M.
The thing he purposely omitted from the Monokuma file was always the most important mystery in the case.
The time.
Are you saying that applies this time too?
Yep.
Hold on a sec. Then, are you saying there's more to Nagito's death? Are you suggesting, again, that his death wasn't a suicide?
Not sure.
You guys were the ones who said it was a suicide in the first place.
That's what everything seems to point at.
No, I don't think it's a mistake to call Nagito's death a suicide, but...
It's just, the thing is, right? If you got an answer, but you only completed 75% of everything to get to that answer, it's like, you know that even though your answer is most likely right, why not try and finish the other 25% as well to just make 100% sure that the answer that you came to is correct?
But it's not just a suicide. Come to think of it, did Nagito really commit suicide just to get us all killed?
Are you sticking up for him?
Well...
That's not what I meant. I mean it in a bad sense.
Bad sense?
I just remembered that his malice always defied our expectations. And that concerns me.
That's so true as well. Oh, he calls it malice, but you know what he means, right? Just the fact we always thought like, nah, Nagito was not capable. And oh yeah, he fucking did that, and he did even more than that.
For example, would that malice just end here?
Look at that picture.
Huh?
Oh, I just hate seeing Chiaki so sad.
Did Nagito's malice drive him to risk his life for a truth we'd reach this easily?
That's a good point too, actually, you know? Like, we came to this conclusion fairly easily. You'd think that Nagito, considering how big of a stepping stone he wants to, or just a stepping stone in general, you know? But whenever a class trial came to an easy conclusion or whatever, he wasn't satisfied. That was the whole reason he was tampering with things in the first place, right? Because he wanted to make it more difficult. So you would think that his own suicide, his own quote-unquote sacrifice, can't just be this fucking easy, right? He wanted it, he even wants his own death to have a lot of meaning and to be difficult for us to figure out.
I mean, this is Nagito we're talking about, you know?
How interesting! You sure do believe in Nagito, huh?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Because you believe in his malice, you continue to suspect his malice. I see. I guess that's what passes for friendship these days.
What friendship?
What should we do, you guys? Should we proceed with the vote? I think we should keep going until everyone is satisfied, even if it's just to be safe.
Yeah, I agree. Let's just finish the other 25%.
You're right. We only get one chance to vote after all.
Just to be safe, huh? Guess I have no choice. If that's the case, I'll do my best to go along with it.
There's no need to rush this, right? Just take your time, go over everything. And then even if we do come at the same conclusion, at least we know with more certainty that we make the correct choice when we actually do vote.
This is friggin' annoying. But if you guys say you're doing it, there's no way I'm gonna back out.
Hey, Monokuma! You heard us. The voting's gonna have to wait!
We've come this far. Let's work hard till the very end. If we work together, everything should be alright.
Oh, I know, Chiaki. Everything is gonna be alright.
That's what I believe.
Aww.
She's like, so, my babies. My babies. I'm so happy. Look at all the hope growing in front of me.
Splendid. You guys are so splendid right now.
She really sounds like such a proud parent, you know? It really sounds like that.
That's right. If all your hopes are united, no despair can shake you.
I'm actually surprised how I know that, considering I've never heard my parents like that. If all your hopes are united, no despair can shake you. Huh? Now that I think about it, Nagito said the same thing. The absolute hope that can overcome any despair. That's why I see It really actually makes sense. Nagito and Manami were working together. I think, yeah, everything makes sense to me now. Then, this situation we're in might be the thing that Naruto wanted all along, exactly, for him to be a stepping stone for this greater hope to overcome any despair. No, Hajime, you were on the right trail there. Don't backpedal. I'm probably overthinking. Dude, that's what I do all the time. I overthink. That's the thing that I do. And it's not always a bad thing. Not always.
No!
Man, my heart was racing like crazy when I thought the voting time was gonna start. But, well, if you think about it rationally, there's no way it was gonna happen. We haven't done this bit yet. Most of the players probably figured that out too. You're the only one who didn't know. No, I figured it. Isn't that right, Monami? Hey, how much longer are you planning to sulk? Let's get along like we always do.
This is how they get along, just in silence. In complete silence.
Alright, you passed. Friendship is measured by how long you can stand the silence when you're alone, when you're all alone with someone else. So, Monami and I are the bestest of best friends. Don't say such stupid things. I hate you so much right now. Enough! Why do I have to be hated that much? Besides the fact that you snapped at me like that, I don't trust you at all. Not even a teensy tiny 1mm bit. How sad. Distrusting your friend is much more shameful than being betrayed by that friend, you know? We aren't even friends in the first place. Then as your older brother, let me say this. You're not even my brother. It's sad to live a life without friendship. That's even sadder than watching a high school rom-com full of guys. Well, there may be some demand for that. I fell for it. I totally took the man bait.
She was like, oh yeah, oh guys. She took the bait.